All right, guys, welcome to episode number 18 of the Conquer Me podcast. Today's episode, we're going to talk to a guy who I met recently who has a really crazy story, and I really think we can learn a lot from his experience and his story. You know, you guys know this podcast is all about vulnerability, and it's all about just being real and talking about things that we go through or struggle through or deal with, and then how we overcome those things, and then how we use those experiences to be better later in our life. So John's going to do that today. I met John not long ago, and we started talking, and he told me a little bit about kind of his past and what he had been through, and that basically he had served 15 years in prison. And so, as you guys know that listen to this podcast, you know my past with drugs and multiple drug charges and being in a lot of trouble and kind of going down that path. So immediately I was kind of drawn into John and wanted to know more. And I thought he would be a really good candidate to come on the podcast and just speak to, you know, maybe what happened with him, the experiences that he had, the lessons that he learned, and then hopefully we can all pull some valuable lessons from that. So John, welcome to the podcast, man. Let's just kick it off, man. Tell everybody a little bit about you, and then if you want to just kind of jump right in into a little bit about what happened when you were a young guy. So I won't spoil it for you guys, but basically John was convicted of a charge at a very young age as a kid, a teenager basically, and it cost him 15 years of his life. And so, yeah, just talk to that, John, whatever you want to share about that.
All right. Yeah, when I was younger, you know, I used to be, you know, like attracted to the streets. And, you know, I was smart in school, you know, I always had good grades, but I just always was, you know, getting kicked out because I wanted to be like the life of the party or whatever you want to call it. And, yeah, I ended up, you know, being involved in a crime, you know, that did cost me, as I said, 15 years of my life. You know, somebody ended up getting killed. And, you know, I was a teenager when it happened. And then I ended up going to prison. And prison was a real lesson. You know what I mean? And, you know, I did say that, you know, I kind of appreciated the situation, though, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I've been through a lot back there. You know, violence, you know, all type of, like, just situations that you would never even think would, like, really occur. And, like, prison taught me how to be a man. Like, it humbled me, you know, it made me, like, want to be more involved with myself, try to figure out who I am as a person. And, yeah, so it was the real deal. It was the real deal.
So give me some insight into your childhood. So I can understand it. Like, I feel like I know exactly why you went down the path that you did because I was headed that same way. I told you, I mean, it's hard for me to be judgmental about anything or any crime because it very well could have been me. So what happened as a kid? What made you attracted to the streets? Was it like, what was your childhood like? Was it stable? Did you feel like you were searching for something? I mean, why do you think you started chasing the streets?
Yeah, I did have a stable childhood. Like, I grew up in a 2-family household.
Okay.
Like, I mean, you know, parent household. But it was just more like, it was so many things that were just like bright to me. Like, other than that, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to have, like, you know, the big cars. I wanted to have, like, the street credit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I wanted to be like this dude, this person that, you know, everybody looked up to in a different way. Like, I still want to be that person. I just don't want to be it in a bad way.
That way.
Like I used to be. You feel what I'm saying? I would rather be it in a more positive.
Yeah, no, that's what's up, man. So you hung out with mostly older people, right? From you and I talking. Yeah. And a lot of times, at least my experience has been, that comes from that, right? So I was always trying to be, they called me Lil J. I was the youngest. I mean, little, like, it was comical. I'm hanging around these dudes 10, 12, 15 years older than me, and then there's this little kid walking around. But I had that same, like, for me, it was a little different. My household was broken, a lot of trauma and drama and all that stuff. And so I felt like I kind of wanted somewhere to belong, right? Yeah. So I meet these dudes, they're into all this stuff, and I'm like, man, this feels good. Like, they have respect for me, and they let me go wherever they go and do what they do. And so that's why I started chasing it. But a lot of times, you know, when we hang out with people that are significantly older and into different stuff, that's kind of where it leads. And dude, that just shows you like the power of association, right? And I'm sure in prison it's the same way. There's people in there who are positive and who are trying to do better and trying to change and move in a different direction. And there's people in there that are still thinking and doing the same things, right? And they plan to think and do the same things when they get out too. So would you agree, like, who you hang out with, what association you keep largely affects where you end up in life?
It does play a major part, you know what I mean? Like, it plays a major part in how you end up if you can't think for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the first thing you got to figure out how to do is, like, have your own mind. If you don't, then you'll be easily influenced by, like, the crowd of people because they will take you down the wrong path if you know, you allow that.
So, dude, so this crime happens. You're 16 years old. I mean, you're a kid, bro. Like, I remember at that age, I thought I was something. You know, I thought I was an adult. Yeah. But looking back now at a 16-year-old, I'm like, bro, that's just a kid, you know? Yeah. So you get sentenced and convicted as basically trialed as an adult, right? 15 years. So what was that like, dude? I could only imagine hearing that and going, man, I'm going away for you've only been alive for 15 years at that point. It's like, that's your whole life. What was that like hearing that from the judge?
Like when I first got locked up, it ain't even really hit me. Like when I first got locked up, it's like I just fell in the step. It seemed like it was kind of easy. Like at first, it seemed like that. But like when I went to prison, I think that like the dorm that I was in was just like so wild that's when I started realizing like, okay, you got to be careful. Like you have to be careful because like every other day, like somebody might be getting stabbed or somebody might be getting beat up real bad, and then we'll come straight back out. Like we'll go in the room for about 3 hours, 4 hours. Somebody just got slayed on a rock or something. And they'll come let us straight back out. So you already know, and it was like large groups of people who would do these types of things. So like you just be like, okay, it's time to, take a step back and figure it out. But it still took a long time to figure it out after that. Like it took a long time to figure prison out because that shit was like, it was like dangerous, man. Like,
so were you the youngest dude in there, or they had dudes your age in there?
Yeah, they had dudes my age in there.
Really?
Yeah, with more time than me. Like, you got dudes in there who have like 50 years and life sentence. Like, I know a few dudes who got life sentences when they was like 13, 14.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for real.
I guess that's got to be an extreme case. And I mean, how could you charge somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like they're a kid. It's wrong. Whatever in order to get a charge like that, no doubt they did something heinous, but it's like, it's still a kid though.
Right.
Forever? Like you lock them up for 50. Right,
yeah.
So that's wild, man. I remember when I was in this rehab facility for the second or third time, and I was in New Orleans or Baton Rouge, and bro, they had some rough dudes. And I was like 12, 13. I mean, and these dudes, like, one of the dude's brother was a hitman. He had his leg shot off, tried to do a job, and the dude was waiting on him and shot his leg off. I mean, these are like kids, you know what I'm saying? So looking back, it's amazing what you can get caught up in and how involved you can be in stuff like that even at an early age. So you get there, you get settled in, you're trying to figure this out. You realize that, man, like, we're not the only ones that are hard on, like, these dudes are for real up in here. Yeah. And they're, it's serious. So was it scary in the beginning, or like, what was your game plan? Hey, I need to find somebody to hang out with. I need to look out for myself. Like, what was your approach?
Well, like when I first went in there, I really wasn't looking for nobody to hang with. It was,
well, you don't really know how it works, how to know the game either when you get in there.
It was kind of, you just go off what you really hear, so you try to just, move around like that. But like I say, the dorm that I went in at first, the first dorm I went in, it was kind of cool, but I had messed around and had jumped on. Me and this other guy had jumped on this dude. Yeah. And then we ended up in a real bad dorm a few months later, like 90 days after I came to prison. So, like the next dorm I was in, it was like really like, wow. Yeah. And it wasn't like he was trying to go and find somebody to hang around. It just like Like, you just trying to figure out how to survive.
Yeah, not to get hurt and how to catch you. Yeah.
And it was like back then, it was like taking your privileges for like long periods of time if you catch a charge. So like you can't have no food. Like you can't go to the store and buy food. You can't get visitation.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It was like all types of problems back then. So like it was like on some way. Yeah, it was different. Like it was different. Yeah.
So you went, where were you first?
Lee County.
Okay, so you spent a good amount of time in Lee County, right? And then moved all around different places.
Yeah, I went from Lee County to Libra. Then I went from Libra to McCormick. Then I went back to Libra. Then Evans.
Okay.
Yeah, Kershaw. I went all.
You've been all around here.
Yeah.
And you said Lee was the worst?
Nah.
No.
Lee was bad, but it was a different type of violence at first when I first came to prison.
Yeah.
Like the real violence started happening probably like 2016 or 17. Like that's when real violence started happening between inmate on inmate violence.
Okay.
Like, you know, they started really killing each other. Like they was stabbing each other real bad when I first came to prison too, but it was a different type of.
Really?
Yeah, it was a different type of violence when I first came to prison. Yeah.
So what happened, you think?
I believe that people really wanted to take control.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people really wanted control of certain things, and it was like too many different. Let's just say you got a lot of people who want to be in control but don't know how to control it. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't know how to go about it.
Yeah, they don't know how to be a leader.
Yeah.
Like they just know how to just
act out and take whatever and do
set
whatever.
bad examples.
And
yeah. When it's easier ways where you could become a leader and still get the same thing that you're looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So some of the craziest, maybe story or two about you being locked up. When was the first time that something really happened to you? Like maybe a fight or something where you were threatened and you thought, oh man, like this is real. I could actually die in here. How long did it take you to figure that out?
You talking about like the first fight that I got in?
Yeah.
Okay, the first fight I got in was probably like a couple months after I got into a fight, but I didn't get in trouble for it, you know, when I first came to prison. But like the first real fight that like I got in trouble for was this dude had invited me to his private parts because I think he was kind of jealous of me because I was like young, fresh in prison. Yeah. And like I had like people sending me money and stuff like that. So, you know, I didn't really go to the kitchen or nothing like that. But he used to go to the kitchen and, you know, I had screamed out on the rock. I was like being funny. And they had already called child and stuff like that. So when they came back, I was like, child, you know what I mean? And he was like, grow up. That's what he said to me. This is an old dude and he probably bigger than me. He probably 2-3 inches taller than me. And he was like, grow up. And I was like, man, F you feel what I'm saying? He was like, nah, suck me. I was like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? So I went in the room, got a little lock in the sock, and bust in his room, you know what I mean? And crazy thing about it, when I hit him, I was getting off on him. Yeah. But another dude came in the room behind me and like put me in a like chicken wing, like, you know what I mean? Put my arms up in there. And dude got up and started pounding me out. Man,
so you got whooped right there? Yeah.
It's like, he was like a big dude.
So he knew it was you, and then he caught you. And then
it was like, oh, this happened at the same time. Though. It ain't like I had no time to get away or nothing. It's like he was getting up, and dude lift me up like that. He was getting up, and he started slamming my head to the wall. And it was like a whole different type of thought came to my mind, because he was trying to take me out.
Yeah,
like,
that's right. Your turn now. Yeah.
And he slammed my head to the wall a couple times. I was like, oh, man, I got to get away from this dude. You know what I mean? Like,
man, I done messed up coming here acting crazy.
Yep.
Should have kept to myself, man. So I want people to hear this, because I'm not, guys, if you're listening to this, I'm not trying to in any way glorify prison or make it sound like it's cool or fun, because obviously you can hear that it's not. But what I want, if you're someone who is in your teens, or you think it's cool and you think it's fun, you need to understand, like, it's not what you see on TV, right? People die, people get stabbed, people lose their eyes, and get all kind of things happen. People get raped, and you can't just take that stuff back. You don't just walk away from that stuff. So this is the reality: is if you get caught up with the wrong group and you do things that you shouldn't be doing, this is the stuff that can happen, right? And not only did you have to go through, I want to hear one more story we'll get to in a second, but not only did you have to deal with all that, of course, you also lost 15 years of your youth, right? Luckily, you still have a ton of time left and you can still be productive, but like you carry that around with you, right? So not only did you lose the time, but now you have a charge. Now you have this stuff that you got to continue to deal with. And it just makes the future a little bit harder to get along. Not that you can't do it, but if you can avoid that, certainly, obviously avoid it. So tell listeners about the story you told me about when you got stabbed up, because you got multiple different,
Right.
Scars and stuff on you, and we talked about that. So just share a little bit about that story.
Well, I had been involved in a few stabbings, but this one in particular, it was like probably the worst one that I had to experience myself. These guys, they came in my room and tried to make it seem like I had said something to one of them, but really it was just he was scared to fight me by himself. So he had to go on the other side and get his people who I guess he come have ride with him or whatever. And they snatched my door open, came in the room. Two of them came in the room and was, trying to say that I said something. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
you already knew something was about to go down
I already knew. Yeah. So as I had told you, they came to the door with all of them had their knives out, all of them had coats on. You know what I mean?
Already just walking through the place like that. I mean,
yeah, it'd be like that. Well, it used to be like that. It's kind of locked down now. Yeah, prison really locked down worse now. But that's how they came to my room. And so, make a long story short, I tried to walk out the door because I wasn't gonna let them kill me.
You
right? Yeah, I wasn't gonna let them kill me. So when I tried to walk out the door, the dude grabbed my shirt, and when he grabbed my shirt, I just knocked him out.
Yeah.
And when I knocked him out, it was some behind me, it was some in front of me. So I'm fighting everybody in front of me, and the ones behind me, they stabbing me. All of them stabbing me. So we probably fought for like 30 seconds. From one
Which seems like 30 hours probably in the middle of it, man.
Yeah, it seemed like it for real. It's like I could see flashes of like everything, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't remember the whole thing, but I could see, you know what I mean? But one of my older homeboys, he had came running out and stopped it. And when I really realized what had happened, like my whole shirt was bloody, like my pants was bloody. And I ended up going to the hospital. And
that's wild, man. So where all they get you?
Tell me where they all stabbed me at. Stabbed me in my neck, back of my head right there. Stabbed me all in my arm, my back.
So they were just trying to hit you wherever they could get you.
Yeah.
It's a miracle you're still alive, man.
It is.
All different types of shanks.
Yeah.
Just whatever they could find and make and whatever.
Yeah.
Dang, dude. So what were some of the most powerful lessons you learned being in prison? What are some of the things that you feel like you took away from it as far as lessons go?
For one, I feel like it taught me how to be humble.
Yeah.
It taught me that I wasn't invincible. It taught me that it's one of the best things you can do is like read and strengthen your mind.
Man, that's what's up, man.
Yeah. It taught me how to meditate. It taught me how to like speak to myself, in a way that's like really hard to explain. You know what I mean? It's just like I can just focus.
Yeah.
And
so just self-talk, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about this all the time on this podcast. I talk about this all the time with my clients. The way you talk to yourself is everything, right? If you know how to build yourself up and talk to yourself a certain way, you can build self-respect. You can really build confidence, but most people don't know that, right? Most people out here free don't know that.
Right.
And so they walk around going, oh, I'm a loser. I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I always quit. Yeah. And they got all these patterns running through their head. And so of course they're anxious, they're depressed. They don't know how to operate. So it's crazy that you would learn that in prison, but wherever you got to learn it, right? It's a good tool to have. So yeah, that's good stuff, man. Anything else stand out that you took away from there as a lesson?
It taught me a purpose. Like, it gave me a purpose. It taught me how to make money too. Like, it taught me how to make money.
Yeah.
Like put together a plan and strategize and like set goals for myself and taught me how to reach them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't know all that at 16?
No, of course not.
Come on, man. So meditating, positive affirmations and self-talk, humble, humility, goal setting. So you had to be intentional about that though. Like you weren't just going to go into prison. You could. So you got a choice with that stuff, man. You can walk in and you can make the most of it and you can learn things like positive affirmation and self-talk and goal setting and all these things, but it doesn't happen by accident. You got to go in there and go, hey, I want to leave here better than I came, right? I can remember the little short stints that I would spend. I would go in and maybe it's 30 or 40 or 60 days or whatever, which even then seemed like forever, at that time as a kid. But I didn't have any interest in being better. My thought process was, all right, how do I keep doing what I'm doing and not get caught?
Yeah.
That was the problem, right? I got caught. The problem wasn't that I was doing what I was doing. It was I wasn't smart enough. And so then later in life, towards the end of all of that, my mindset changed. And I said, man, you know what? How can I leverage this to help me in the future? How can I use this experience to be something positive and to positively influence my life? And now I look back, I wouldn't trade any of that. Like, I know how to handle people differently. I know how to deal with situations that are stressful differently. There's tons of things that come out of that, but the perspective has to be, I want to make something out of it, or else it's just going to be, man, I just wasted 15 years of my life or 6 months of my life or whatever. So I'm glad to hear that. So what's next? You hadn't been out that long, right? When did you say? December?
Yeah.
December. This is, when you're listening to this or when this is being recorded, this is February. So you're a couple months out. So what was it like leading up to you getting out? Like, what did that feel like? And then how was it the day that you walked out of there?
Yeah, leading up to when I was getting out, like I had like some good guys around me, like, who was like really, really happy for me. And, so we was like really, really, like ready.
Yeah.
Like we was really, really getting like helping me get ready to go home. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
So how do you get ready to go home? You just got to grab whatever you grab and go home, right?
What you talking about? Like, what you mean? Like the day I go home?
Yeah. How were they helping you?
Like we was like just like mentally strength training. We was physically strength training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we was doing a lot. Like we was just like the same way we right now chopping it up. This is what we'll sit right here and do. Like we'll sit there and just see what our minds like. What you thinking about? Like how you know what I mean? And
so that was regular conversation.
Yeah, help me get like help us deal with people. Yeah.
Yeah, because you go from that type of environment where it's really no order, right? It's only order to a degree, but there's the rules that apply in there it's different out here.
Yeah, it's totally different.
It's the whole different game, whole different set of rules. So I guess you're trying to get reconditioned and like, okay, what's it going to be out there? And how am I going to handle these things? Yeah. And so that stuff you would talk about with them. Yeah. That's cool, man. So then the day comes, you wake up, you got a certain day, right? That that you know you're getting out. Mm-hmm. So you wake up and then what?
Man, I went in.
They call your name?
Yeah. They call my name. Yeah.
I bet that felt good, man. Like that's the last time I hear him call my name.
Yep, I was screaming and yelling.
Yeah.
Yep.
Were people mad to see you leave?
No.
I know that's the thing sometimes where people hate, they don't want to, or they try to trip you up before you go.
No.
Didn't see none of that?
No, I ain't had them types of problems.
Okay, good. So then you leave. Who come pick you up?
My brother.
Okay. Yeah. So he comes pick you up. Where y'all go?
We had a few places we had to stop by. We had to go to like the parole office.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't really do too much in that. Yeah, we didn't really go nowhere like that.
So then what's the last month and a half, 2 months been like?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you headed in your life, man? What do you want to do?
Man, I wanna like do like I want to make like large sums of money for myself, and I also want to like help the children. You know what I mean? I want to like show the children the same thing what you're doing. Trying to put out a like be an example for them to let them know like, yo, listen, that's not the right way to go.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be a terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, dude, that's why I wanted you on this podcast, because it's tricky, man, because I got to be careful with this, with anything, because you're going to have people, no matter what, there's going to be people that see the value in your story. There's going to see people in mine. There's going to be people that judge you, and it doesn't matter what you do or what you say or how much time you spend or how regretful you might be about whatever. You're always going to have that, right? And so it's like, but to let that story go to waste it is what it is. For me, I could have had people die from selling them drugs, right? I can't tell you how many people that overdosed and nearly died from drug deals that I had something to do with, right? And so it is what it is. And really, we all have got our own shit, if we're honest. And the people that are being judgmental, they've got their own stuff too, maybe to a different degree. But I'm a big believer in using your story to pour back into other people. And dude, you could relate to a young guy who maybe grew up similarly, is involved in a similar way better than I can, right? Where I might be able to touch more with kids that are dealing with drugs and addicted to drugs and that type of thing. So I can admire the fact that you don't want to let that go to waste, right? I mean, it's 15 years of your life, bro. Like, you paid that, now take it and use it. So have you looked at different opportunities, or are you open to different ways, or maybe explored anything that would allow you to do that? I mean, that's tricky, right? Where do you go? Who's going to let you come into schools? Or like, how would you even do that to pour back into these kids?
I haven't like fully established you know, how to do it, but I do know that I want to start like some nonprofits, like you know, eventually. You know, first I want to get myself together completely. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's the plan though. I want to go out here and like start like program. I remember when I was younger, they used to have a program in Rich Spring for us. You know, we used to like they used to have like an after school program. You know, it was like a big summer program, and it was like a lot of kids there, and they used to take us on trips and you know, all type of stuff like that. So yeah, I want to do stuff like that for them, but you know, with a message, you know. Just make sure they stay out of the streets.
And dude, if you can get in front of them, I mean, it's different for them to go in front of a classroom and hear some old white guy talk to them about why they don't need to be in the streets. Then if you come in and you go, hey, I'm not that much older than you. I come from this neighborhood. I know your mama and your daddy and all your people, and here's why you shouldn't be in the streets. And they know you, right? A lot of these kids probably know you, and so that's just powerful, man. I think you could have a huge impact. There's going to be hurdles, though. You know, it's not going to be like everybody's going to go, yeah, come on in and talk to the kids. Like, you're going to have to figure that out and work through that. But man, I think you got a really powerful story. And as long as you continue to move in the right direction and stay on track and do the things that you're passionate about doing, I think you can look back and go, man, I hate that happened, but look at the positive impact. Look what I turned it into.
Right.
There's a dude I've been listening to on YouTube, and I can't call his name now, but basically his story is he was a really bad, so he's a good dude, like made a bunch of money, had his stuff together, got hurt, got addicted to pills, you know, pain pills turned into meth, and then meth turned into crack, and then heroin, and he kind of went down the whole path. And the dude ended up on the streets, and he was a big time thief, super smart dude, but was just stealing everything. And the dude became known for this and had some major charges, and basically went in front of the judge and got a life sentence from stealing. He was such a habitual offender, and he had been in there so many times. Now, of course, he did time. I think he did like 15 years or something, 12, 15 years. Dude ended up getting out. He was, he ended up being released because of the impact that he was having in the prison. And he tells a story, and he's like, prison does one of three things to people. He said it either makes them really soft, where they're not able to carry a message and they just kind of crumble inside of prison. And he uses, like, I forget what the first thing is, but the second is an egg. He said, or it makes them like an egg where they're hard on the inside and hard on the on the outside and hard on the inside. They're just shut down. They're cold, right? And then he talks about a coffee bean. He said, what I chose to do is be like a coffee bean. And if you take hot water and you drop a coffee bean in the hot water, it changes the environment. It changes water to coffee. You now have to call it complete. So he was talking about what he did in prison, and he did a lot of that. He started programs, and he started like kind of building a group of people who wanted to do better. And parole board saw this. He ends up getting out early, and now the dude's like a motivational speaker, and he goes around telling a story, but he's still on parole. He still can't go anywhere, or I guess probation, parole, whatever it is. he does major speaking gigs all over the country. He's still got to call his probation officer and get permission if he leaves Houston. So there's still, he says, I'm still serving a life sentence, but man, he's really turned that into something awesome. And he's been invited now by a bunch of the football teams and things to come speak. So you could totally do something like that, man. I'd love to see that.
Right.
So cool. Anything else you want to share?
Yeah, that's about it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Dude, I appreciate you coming on the show. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're listening, look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Y'all be good. Take care.